Hey everyone, so just a really quick meeting. So obviously today during the trading session, the Fed is going to come out and give their latest announcement. And basically it's going to be something to do with, or it'll be two things it'll be to do with an interest rate or change in the interest rates or a change in the current bond buying or quantitative easing that the Fed has been engaging in. And most analysts are expecting, things just to remain the same. There may be some comment about some future change, but with an undetermined date. So anything too different from that sort of statement is probably going to actually affect markets quite a lot. Now, usually when the Fed does make these decisions, they do really weigh in. One of the things they really take into account is inflation, because that's what they use to determine changes to the official interest rate. And so obviously, like I've reported before, we have been having some quite high inflation, not just in America, but it's happening around the world. And it's because of the quantitative easing that's going on. Now the Fed has been saying that it is sort of transitory, and quite a few people are sort of saying that it's transitory, but it sort of seems to be that, to me at least anyway, that it is coming still down the pipeline. It's going to be more and more down the pipeline. And I kind of in an earlier video did mention Peter Schiff. He's an economist and fund manager, that he kind of thinks it's a much bigger concern than what it's being made out to be, or what people are hoping or expecting it to be. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I'm kind of quite big on buying into those commodity stocks, which are going to ride up with the with any inflation. Like not just buying physical gold. I'm not buying physical gold, but I'm buying gold stocks. So I get to benefit from the mining operations, but also the sale of that gold at appreciated prices, as that is usually like a classic hedge against inflation. But I'm also buying into iron ore stocks. Anyway, Peter Schiff did appear very briefly recently on Tucker Carlson Show on Fox News. I think it was actually last night's episode. Apparently his his segment was meant to be for 10 minutes, but they ran out of time, so he only got to speak for about 2 minutes. But he kind of puts the whole inflation conversation into a nice, succinct dialogue in this little clip. So I'm going to just put this little clip in just to give you a bit of a probably more eloquent explanation of the state of inflation. Anyway, take care, guys. All the best. See ya.
It's at its highest level in more than a dozen years. Will it be getting worse? What does the future look like? Is this a snapshot, or is it the new reality? Peter Schiff is an economist, CEO of Euro Pacific Capital. We're happy to have him on tonight. Peter, where do you see this going, inflation?
Well, it's already actually getting worse, because the year-over-year number is 5%. But if you annualize the last 3 months, it's 8% increase. But I think the back half of the year is going to be a lot worse than the front half, because businesses have been somewhat reluctant to pass on their exploding costs to their customers. I think they've been hoping the Fed was right, but I think they're going to give up hope later in the year, and they're really going to start increasing prices at a much greater rate.
Do you see a way out of it?
Well, unfortunately, no. I mean, the Fed is pretending that it's transitory because they really have no ability to control it, because it's the Fed that's creating it. Right. Every dollar of government spending has to be paid for. And right now, they're not taxing and spending, they're printing and spending. So every time you're paying higher prices, you're really paying higher taxes. And taxes, unfortunately, are going way up, especially on the middle class.
But that won't reduce inflation.
No, that is inflation. The government is causing inflation. That's where all the stimulus money is coming from. The reason the economy looks like it's growing is because the government has created inflation, which creates the illusion of economic growth. But the reality is the economy is not growing. And, the CPI doesn't even come close to capturing the real extent to which prices are rising. A lot of people point to the 1970s and all the inflation we had back then, but we had a totally different CPI in the 1970s. If we were using the 1970 CPI today, we would already be experiencing double-digit inflation.
Very hard to explain these concepts clearly, and I think you do a great job at that. Peter Schiff, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure.